With the increasing progress of the Belt and Road Initiative and the increasing naval pressure in the South China Sea, it's only a matter of time before China achieves global economic dominance. So I'm executing a 5-head move called Self-Preservation, because I don't want to end on a list. But just in case, 请不要把我列入名单, I'll be doing self-preservation through the only means I know, pretentiously talking about culture and history in the guise of video games. And what better way to start than by looking at a notable game that is based on Chinese history, Dynasty Warriors. But instead of the hack and slash that caters to both the male and female fantasy, we'll be looking at its predecessor, Dynasty Warriors on the PS1, a fighting game about honorable 1 vs 1 battles with the warriors of the Three Kingdoms. And to properly understand the game, let's take a look at the source material. Usually, this is where I discuss history when relevant to a game. In the case of Dynasty Warriors, I won't do a deep dive because the game uses the source material as a reference or skin. There are no tangible attempts of storytelling outside a few animated cutscenes that, frankly, aid in the presentation of the game rather than narrative. Also, the source material is lengthy and intricate and I don't want to mess that up, so instead, I'll be doing an abridged version of everything we need to know. Dynasty Warriors is based on the 14th century historical novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which is based on the records of the Three Kingdoms, the official and authoritative source for any information concerning the Three Kingdoms period of ancient China. Ancient China, a simpler time where there's no Tibet, Taiwan, or China. Basically, Romance of the Three Kingdoms is a fictional and romanticized telling of accounts, meaning a lot of the events in the novel most likely didn't happen. For example, the Battle of Hulao Gate. In the novel, this was a battle between the tyrant Dong Zhuo and the 8 warlords of the coalition. This is the supposed climax of Lu Bu's career, with him battling the sworn brothers Zhang Fe, Guan Yu, and Liu Bei. In history, there was no Battle of Hulao Gate. Instead, it was a few confrontations between Dong Zhuo and the coalition, represented by Sun Yan, father of Sun Ce, Sun Quan, and Sun Ren. As for the time period, Three Kingdoms Battle Royale is technically from 220 to 280 AD. It was a time when China was divided into the 3 states of Cao Wei, Shu Han, and Sun Wu. It starts with the end of the Han Dynasty and ends with the establishment of the Jin Dynasty. Depending on who you ask, the period either starts with the Yellow Turban Rebellion of 184 or the establishment of Cao Wei in 220, hence, technically. With all that said, let's move on to the game. Dynasty Warriors was a startling departure from Koei's usual offerings. Koei was fairly known for their historical simulation games like Romance of the Three Kingdoms and Nobunaga's Ambition, but their unconscious use of history for a game that was originally planned to be its own thing made it coincide with what they're known for. The end product is a fairly okay fighting game that, while uninnovative, plays surprisingly well. One thing that stands out for Dynasty Warriors is its focus on weapon-based fighting. Have you heard of the saying, "Let the weapon be an extension of oneself"? Yeah, that shit is accurate. All attacks are done with a weapon. There are no punches or kicks, only slashes, strikes, or stabs. Hence, it is imperative that you familiarize with the weapon of each character. Weapons are not made equally. Some are longer or faster, and depending on the character, weapons are also handled differently. Dynasty Warriors has a total of 16 characters, 10 of which are immediately available. The remaining 6 will be unlocked after beating the game with certain characters. Despite the relatively low amount of characters, they handle their weapons differently. Generally speaking, characters don't play the same except for a few cases. More on them later. There's a good variety of styles and movesets, making sure that characters of the same weapon type do not feel monotonous. What's more, they feel relatively balanced. No character is objectively better, and this is thanks to the gameplay. The gameplay is more tactical than most fighters. Every move should be done with care. In Dynasty Warriors, timing is everything. Landing attacks is just as crucial as missing attacks. Using the right move in the right situation provides a massive advantage. And when things fall into place, the game incentivizes the player to take every opportunity they have. Every move, every hit is considered honorable and fair. Everything I've just said can be used to describe the fundamentals of fighting games, but unlike most fighters, Dynasty Warriors puts emphasis on this thanks to its mechanics which are reflected in the controls. While most fighters would have every button dedicated for an attack, Dynasty Warriors has 2 buttons for aggression and 2 buttons for passive aggression, the former for attacking and the latter for parrying. Can I be blunt here for a second? As I stated before, timing is essential in this game. However, it's doubly crucial for parrying. Successfully parrying an attack leaves an opponent open for a beating. Missing a parry leaves you open for a massacre. The timing needed is so precise that frankly, it's not worth it. In my experience, it's more productive to spend time simply attacking and guarding against the enemy. There's no practical use for parrying other than making the controllers feel like a brick that has buttons on it. My complaints aside, the controls provide a lot of utility. The game has a command grab, multiple options for getting up, and multiple ways of activating the super move, commonly known as the Musou attack, provided your requirements are met. To activate it, you must cultivate enough chi or receive enough damage to be in the red. Once met, you can input a series of command or set a macro in the controls to use it. Regardless of the methods, learning how to utilize these moves is important for maximizing your damage and your survivability. And you'll have multiple chances to exercise these features thanks to the multiple game modes. Dynasty Warriors has 6 game modes. 1-player battle, which is arcade mode, versus for fighting with a second player, team battle for 3v3 fights, tournament, which allows a series of 1v1 fights with multiple human players, time trial, where you speedrun the game, and endurance, which is survival. Out of the 6, 1-player battle is where you'll be spending most of your time as it's your primary mode for unlocking the hidden characters. Are they worth getting? It depends. Their value is mostly defined by how much time you have and whether you want them. Unlocking the remaining characters require multiple playthroughs of 1-player battle with the entire roster, some of them as hidden characters. What's more, 3 of the 6 extras are reskins of pre-existing ones, so it really falls on you to decide whether they are worth getting. In the event that you decide to complete the roster, you might be anxious that you'll be hindered by the controls. Worry not, because despite my feelings about the layout, Dynasty Warriors has some of the most responsive controls, and they feel responsive in no small thanks to the fluid animations and the game's technical performance. Sure, the graphics are limited and compressed for a 3D game, but it was all done for the sake of making the game run smoothly. In a time where most console games run on average 30 frames per second, being able to run higher than that consistently is imperative, especially for a game that extremely values precise execution. As for the other aspects of presentation, they're average at best. Even for the time, Dynasty Warriors graphics were already dated. Other 3D games, regardless of the genre and console, have already shown massive improvements in the visuals from both the models and textures. The music is nothing to write home about, though I will say that the sound effects are fantastic. It is satisfying to hear the sound of the weapons as they strike the enemy and clash with each other during a deadlock. Everything about this game really is in the weapon. I came in with low expectations and come out mildly impressed. Dynasty Warriors for the time was frankly uninnovative, but despite this, it still manages to stand out. The unique background, setting, and gameplay allows it to survive in a genre which was, at the time, crowded and dominated by well-established titles and game companies. The focus on a tactical approach and weapon-based fighting may not be for everyone, but we got to admit that it's a format that's underutilized even to this day. That said, I don't consider this a must-play, but it will at least offer a fun experience. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got some reading to catch up to. Merry Christmas everyone, and have a Happy New Year. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hi there! If you like what you saw, consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. Doing so helps the channel grow tremendously. If you want to further support the channel, I have a Ko-fi page with some behind-the-scenes stuff, and a Twitter at KenAthemus. Links are in the description. Take care!